Mario, once again with MIA Microflight. I decided to buy some LED lights to uh, light up some areas in my home, and also to see if I can make my own lighting for the front walls in front of my home. I don't quite like the lights that are out there, and so I decided to make my own. Um, Also to make some other ones that will probably go on the side of the house, just to light up some areas, give it a little more aesthetical appeal, as well as lighting, at night, automatic lighting, so I don't have to turn on and turn off the existing AC lights that are part of the home. So these are the LEDs that I bought, and this is a matter of trial and error. When you experiment with some of these things. Uh, these right here are actually sitting in my backyard. They're working okay. They don't last that long, from, after a charge, a sunny day. I would say these little ones right here, they're not too bad. They come six lights for I think $20. I got them on at 30% off. The only thing is that you can only buy one pack per customer. So if you want a lot of them, these are you have to buy them at different times or have somebody else buy it for you. But one per customer, six for $19. It's fairly inexpensive that way. However, these lights are good for just lighting up. I have these posts in my backyard that hold this wooden fence for my dirt track, and so I have those spread out. I would say about maybe 6 to 8 feet apart. So these are good for spreading them out. To provide some night lighting. But like I said, they don't last too long. I would say about maybe 4 to 5 hours. The battery, I have not opened this light, so I don't know what the battery, but I suspect these come with a lithium-ion rechargeable cell. By the way, these are not these are one-time only, as the manufacturer suggests. Since many of these lights is that they're not meaning that you once the battery goes out, that's it. You got to buy another one. But all these lights have rechargeable batteries, otherwise they wouldn't work, on a cycle basis. So if you open them up, you're going to avoid the warranty. I don't care about the warranty. These are lights that I bought to experiment with. So I'm not worried about that. And I did open this one right here, which is sitting right inside this Tiffany type of cover here, and I wanted to do something with this. I found these. Somebody was selling these, and I bought 3 of them. They're real glass, so they're really nice lights. I don't know. People get rid of good things for crappy things. For modernization is so crappy. These things are much better than glass. They're not plastic. So, when I see stuff like that, I buy it because I really like these lamps. They're not for your everyday type of home. The modern homes, especially, you won't see these on. But if you are able to use these in specific places, they do have a certain ambiance to them, and a certain look and a certain warmth. In Especially if you modify them. So I modified this one with this TechNet. By the way, this TechNet brand had some really good reviews, and it is a nice light. This actually stayed on all night. But of course, this has a much bigger solar panel than that one right there. You can see the difference between that and that. That's the TechNet. These come for $49. And the panel is not glass. This is plastic. Just a plastic solar panel. And so I started to experiment with some of these lights, with this one in particular. So let me see if I can turn it on here. You can see it's got a nice glow to it. That's like the real, most subtle. Of course, I'm doing this in daylight. That just turned on by the sensor. So this provides some really nice lighting. The only thing with these particular ones is that they don't come in. The LEDs are, you can only get them in white, what they call cool white or cold white. I asked in the the product description, I asked, the AI feature. I said, well, what's the difference between a cool and cold? And say, you return an answer that says, that's a good question. Cool is cold is I believe cool is a bright white, and cold is like a bluish. It's got a bluish. That's what it returned, a bluish tint to it. So I think the blue tint, meaning not a blue, but it's got a much a colder look to it. So I didn't care for that. I like daylight lights, for where I need to illuminate areas, and I like warmth, to create a very warm area, very warm ambience. So you got to select the lights according to your needs and according to what you're trying to do. So this one right here, I use this one, which is bright white, but because of this glass, it filters out really a nice warm light, and it does look really cool. This would have to be installed somehow like this. You can see how I already modified the back here to attach this. This was attached to just a regular AC outlet box. So I removed the box and I attached here. This would have to be attached to the wall via these metal brackets here. So that is one modification. Now I was looking further to see if I can make my own lights, and I was trying to price the solar panels. I was trying to price that. I have a ton of lithium-ion 18650 cells that I've repurposed from hoverboards. You've probably seen those in my other videos that deal with go-karts and things of that nature. So I have a bunch of those cells that all they need to be is charged, and they perform just fine. So I was trying to see if I can make my own by buying these components individually, but it doesn't justify the cost, because it's going to be a lot more expensive if you buy the solar panel. You buy the sensors. These have proximity sensors where they sense they sense the somebody passing by, and of course it's got the on off, and then a little circuit board to properly charge the cell. I opened this up, and this one does have a 18650. I believe it's an 18650 lithium ion cell that has a little charging board that works with this particular solar panel. Now the way to size and tell what kind of wattage, because you gotta match the wattage of the solar cell, the voltage, wattage, the amperage, to what you're trying to charge. In this case, the one cell battery. So for one cell, this is plenty right here, and this is the reason why this does provide 8 hour lighting after it when it goes dark. This right here, if we were say to look at the dollar store LED solar lights, or those lamps that they sell for $1, now it's $1.25. Those really cheapy ones. They have about maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these cells right there within the solar cell. Those can go up to 2 volts at about I think they provide 100 milliamps of charge, so you can use it. That's why they work with just one little tiny LED. This one has almost 3 times as much, so you're talking about 2 for about 6 cells, 6 volts. Sometimes it drops down to 4.5, something like that, which is about the right voltage to charge a cell, just a single 18650 cell. So this is plenty. So I could break this apart, which I've done already. There's nothing to it. The panel comes out. The lights. This one has lights on the sides. On the sides here and the sides. So it illuminates really well. It's got about 100, and I think I read 116 LEDs or 120, something like that. This one right here that I bought. So I know what I knew what this one did, lighting, but I was looking for something with a little more flexibility in the assembly. This one is one piece. Everything is self-contained. So I found these right here. Again, I bought these. These go two for $19 instead of these right here, which go six for 19. But bear in mind, these are just for illuminating little sections here. I could use a bunch of these arranged in a sort of my own lights. Something like a vertical stack would be nice, to put in the front, of the home, on the sides of the garage entries. So they look nice, and it's not your typical light that you buy anywhere. So they would work, but the only problem is they only last 4 to 5 hours, is per my experience with these already. So I bought these, and these have a much nicer. There's the model right there if anybody's interested in these lights. These are all plastic, by the way. The casing is like they all are, unless you spend a lot more money and buy aluminum casing. It's going to cost you a little more money, but the key thing here that I was looking for is not so much the materials or the structure, but the panel itself. This is a glass panel. Let me turn this around because it's reflecting my aircraft here. Let's see if I can. Okay, so this panel right here. You can see the panel much better. That way you can see those lines that are part of the panel. But this is a glass. This is a glass panel, almost like your cell phone glass. This, on the other hand, is plastic. Okay, so plastic will get dull, with time. There are people that are coating these with lacquer, just a coat of lacquer. I bought a can. I'm waiting for that can to come in so I can coat these also with lacquer, just to give them a little more protection. I have to research and see why they use lacquer here, and maybe not just a regular clear coat. There must be some property that somebody found out that lacquer coating works better. I don't know. I have to research it, like I said, but that's what they're doing. So I decided to experiment and do the same thing and see how that goes. But this is glass, much better in terms of components here, as far as the charging circuit with the charging element, which would be the solar cell. And this solar cell, I would say, in terms of area, is about the same in square inches. If you were to length times width, it's about the same as this one right here. But this is glass, and so I would assume that this also holds about they say 8 to 10 hours or more. I think I haven't even opened the instructions here, but this one, it says 8 to 10 hours of lighting, depending on how much charge it gets, how much sun it gets. I would assume that this one also gets the same thing. And what's nice about this is that all these things are, like I said, individual. You can remove that, you can remove that, you can remove all these things via these little screws here, and including the solar panel, and just extend these leads if you wanted to keep the solar panel on the side somewhere hidden and just use the lights. And what I plan on using these is I plan on mounting these vertically like that and make my own, sort of something like this, make my own sconce or fixture, so that I can mount them in front of my home so they look presentable, they look nice, and it doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill type lighting, LED solar lighting. So that's what I plan on doing with this stuff right here. And this video is just to capture all this, all these ideas that I've been playing around with these solar lights, and just to give you a little insight onto these particular ones that I bought. Believe me, I do a lot of research when I look at these things. Amazon already knows that. They know how you buy things. They know what kind of character what type of character you have, when you buy things. Interestingly, I was looking at that information. It says, you are, you don't like to buy brand names. You do research. It was telling me exactly, how I am. When I buy these things, it says you like to research. But it's interesting that you bought a popcorn maker, because I did buy a popcorn maker. Just one of those fun popcorn makers for my grandkids. and so it kind of it said, but this looks interesting how you shifted, from all the stuff that you buy. Most of the stuff that I buy is electronic, mechanical. As you've seen me talk about these things in my videos, I buy wheels, I bought mechanical parts for my go-karts, so Amazon knows what I like to do with everybody. All that data is collected. Unfortunately, or fortunately, technology when used in good faith is good for humankind. But there are a lot of nefarious things going on with technology that I don't particularly care. And I'm pretty sure, if you're someone of a thinker that's been thinking of all these things that are being introduced by technology, you're probably going to be of the same opinion. You just got to be careful how you approach technology, how you use it, and just be cautious. But this is another little project that I decided to embark on. Um, I'm not going to do this right away. This probably going to linger for a little while, let it simmer, and then I started doing some drawings on how I want my panels. But once I'm done with all that stuff, I will come back and show you how I did my panels. Hopefully, it'll be something. Like I said, I want something different. I don't want the run of the mill. I could pop these on in front of my garage, my walls, but this one I don't like the lighting because it looks more industrial. It's like something that you would put in a parking lot or something like that. These lights. I mean, they do provide the lighting, and also the amount of hours that this should be on all night. Provided the battery's fully charged. But I think I can do better. These, by the way, are not as they're not the same LEDs as these, obviously, because they come from a different manufacturer. But these are a little more. They have a little more warm. I think these are warm. I'm a warmer light than these, which are super super bright, almost daylight. Great for shops, for sheds and stuff like that, where you want to light up areas or work areas. This is more for to create lighting. You want lighting. You know, in front of the house, but not like this. I don't want this because all these things are everybody does this. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with some of these. Like I said, I already mentioned that these are the reason I bought these is because they are removable, and I got 4 of them for $40, which is about $10 a light. If I were to buy these things separately, it would cost me almost twice as much. And this is already done. The lights are already self-enclosed, and all I have to do right here, real easy, is cut these wires and extend them if I wanted to extend this. The solar panel will be extended. The battery is probably sitting in this little box right here. I will open that and see what kind of battery it is so that I can, if I need to in the future, I can easily access that battery and replace it. Because that's the other thing is that out of these lights, people, most people just don't get into replacing batteries and things of that nature. So that's why they make these lights, for one time use only. But everything's reusable. All you have to do is change the battery if you know what you're doing. Once again, Mario with MI Microflight.